Hello, good evening. Welcome to Camnet Television News. I'm Jeffrey Ziambo to present the news. Our top stories in the news tonight: UPND losing touch with reality, charges the opposition Patriotic Front. Some KCM retirees camp at the LUSAKA's Court of Appeal, demanding their insurance contributions. Former CARITAS Zambia Executive Director challenges Zambians to take interest in the management of public resources. In international news, Guinea junta agrees to leave power after 2 years, says ECOWAS. And in sports news, Copper Queens drawn in Group C of the 2023 FIFA Women's World Cup.
This Independence, take advantage of our special offers. We're having our flat drip tips at 2,800 kwacha, or you can get it per meter at 1 kwacha 15 gwei. Get our 500-meter round hose with a 1.1 millimeter thickness at 1,200 kwacha. Rainglow, bringing you durable products that will last you many seasons.
Camnet Stars Football Club, your local national team, will this Sunday 23rd October 2022 be hosting Welcome Football Club. Time 15 hours. Venue Kablonga Boys Secondary School, the home of Camnet Stars Football Club. Don't miss these entertaining and upcoming champions of Zambia. Camnet Stars Football Club, a team born for greatness. See you there.
Hello again. We now have the news in detail. Some former Konkola copper mines KCM employees who have been frequenting Lusaka province from the copper belt with the hope of seeking President Hakainde Hichilema's intervention to have their 50% pension funds released are now spending nights in the open at the intercity bus terminus. The former employees have lamented to Camnet News that the 50% pension funds they seek is not money for charity, but their pension contributions, which they were told would be paid to them immediately after their retirement. One of the representatives, James Nyirenda, says all efforts to meet Minister of Mines Paul Kabuswe and President Hakainde Hichilema have failed despite going to State House on several occasions. They have since called on President Hakainde Hichilema to quickly intervene in their matter. More in this report.
These are former Konkola copper mine KCM employees who retired in 2019 and 2020 but have only been paid 50% of their pension funds when they were promised that they will be paid in full after their retirement. The former employees have been frequenting Lusaka from the Copperbelt province with the hope of meeting Zambia's President Hakainde Hichilema, who they hope will intervene in their matter, but all efforts have failed, including meeting the Mines Minister Paul Kabuswe.
Mfuile na poka 50%, then in the next 3 months I have to get that remaining 50%. Nomba, ifunde barisa chinja ukwabula okweba nemwine wa mpia. Ukweba tina tuchinje funde. Ilo tuba tuitiri okweba tusaine ama forms yambi. Wailo nishtuwa lisaina ama form ama claim form. Tuwa lisaina kali. Basa leta poyambi ama claim form. Haya lela ndo okweba ti. Shire mpia shashala. Mfuile nde shipoka monthly. Let's say I have 150,000 kwacha. Then, all on depoka 1,000 or less. No, but if
they deducted from one's salaries was going to be paid in full after one stops employment. But to our surprise, we were only paid 50%, and the rest was not paid for the reasons basically known to themselves. This money, these are contributions they were deducting from our salaries. We sacrificed our salaries for that.
The miners have also explained that their colleagues who retired before 2019 and those who retired in 2021 and 2022 have been paid in full their pension and have wondered why their case has been treated differently.
From 2000 to the year 2018, all mining pensioners for KCM were paid their full dues of 100%. Only pensioners for 2019 and 2020 have not been paid. Why we have experienced this traumatic and selective payment, we are very much astonished.
Away from 2000, wale foresha 100%. Kwisafika mu 2018 December, ero baisa chinjamano pantwa gawaya bafyuke na shirendala mukchira wa mukopa belt mushale nsala gira nomba baisa chita cross 2021 fyako sedia shibambo kulipilendala bambo kupera futi ba 2021 lifunde lyashani ilya 2 years.
The miners, who explained that they have been barred from frequenting State House to meet the president by State House police, have since called on President Hakainde Hichilema to look into their matter and address their plight.
Lekeni batupele impia ye nani 50%, please mobuteko tulelo mba bakateka ba church twafwe niko mumone apandela ndapano na isile pa Tuesday ukufika na lelo pamande ukufika na lelo ndala fe mu street mulandu wakwe bati ndefu aenda la mashandi echo nabo mbele.
Therefore, we are demanding for the compassionate help from the head of state to have our pension money paid. Enough is enough. We have been deprived of our financial rights for too long.
So we are appealing to Mr. President, in case this has not come to your full attention, it is our prayer that our request meet your favorable consideration.
For now, these ex-miners will continue to spend their days and night in the open space until their matter is addressed. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Government has challenged miners operating at the infamous Kabwe's Kwasaki open pit mine to work on the road that has been destroyed by overloading tipper trucks which are ferrying manganese ore from the site. After he toured the road, Central Province Minister Credo Nanjua expressed disappointment on the bad state of the road and on other activities being undertaken by the miners at the site. The minister has warned the miners that government will not allow them to destroy the ecosystem with impunity.
Government has taken a swipe on the owners of the mines at the infamous Kawasaki. Government has challenged the miners who are operating in Kawasaki to work on this road, destroyed by overloaded tipper trucks ferrying manganese ore from Kawasaki.
If anything, bad materials moving from Kawasaki before it is tested going inside. And the truckers. The other time I told them, see how you can control. Don't overload. Because some of those things which are dropping is because of overloading. So we are poisoning these people here, they're in trouble.
The minister later visited one of the sites where the flow of the water in the stream has been blocked by the owners of the mines.
We should find all this removed here. Allow the water to move. You have created this blockage. I hope there is no other one, another one in here.
No, it's not a permanent road. We only made this road in order for us to get material from this far end. So now, once the material is done, we have to open up this road.
Mr. Nanjua says government will not allow miners to destroy the ecosystem in this area.
So we will not allow this kind of behavior where people they have blocked, they have made their money and they want to leave. That will not be acceptable. So we are saying they have to open so that the water can be flowing. So here we are told tomorrow they are starting working on this. But we want to ensure that there's no other one who is blocking the water.
The minister was also shocked to discover that the miners have dug a number of these craters within Kawasaki area. Petronella Msangulude, reporting for Camnet TV News in Kabwe.
Former CARITAS Zambia Executive Director Eugene Kabilika has called on Zambians to take interest in the utilization of public funds debt inclusive. Speaking at an event dubbed Walk for Equality organized by CARITAS Zambia, Diaconia, among other organizations, Mr. Kabilika explains that debt sustainability has been a challenge, leading everyone to take a leading role in holding leaders accountable. He says once leaders are left to operate without checking on them, bad decisions may be made, hence the need to be reminded that they are accountable to the people of Zambia. The event attracted students from the University of Zambia, University of Lusaka, Cavendish University, among other higher learning institutions. This yearly event aims at equipping the youths with knowledge on what role they can play in holding leaders accountable, with this year being the third since the Equality Walk started.
Therefore, as we have put the hashtags in this year's theme, that we will work for equality, we will work for climate justice, we will work for accountability, we will work for transparency, we will work for gender justice, we will work for debt sustainability, and we will work, finally but not the least, in stopping the illicit flow of financial
change and equality. You have to remind people. You cannot just have a walk one time and forget about it, because change has to be impacted in people's brains. So each year we have different themes. So this year we have to set the example. We are working the change towards equality. Let's work and say people need fair distribution of millions. People need the right to education. People have the right to health services. There is need for people to know their rights and say, I have the right to this. Let me work towards it. Let me say, you know what, this is my country.
Issue of inequality, we are saying we need to pay attention, even as government pushes policies and laws. To what extent are we ensuring that the very poor members of society, of this country, of this great nation, are also being considered?
Government is doing its part. What about you? What are you going to do about the high debt of Zambia? Is there anything that you can do? This is a challenge I'm giving to you today. What individually you as a Zambian are going to do to help government in order for it to sustain its debt?
Patriotic Front Deputy Media Director Edwin Lifwekelo has given the United Party for National Development, UPND, a rating of 2 out of 10 in their performance so far, alleging that they are slowly departing from their promises to the Zambian people. In an interview, Mr. Lifwekelo notes that the UPND is losing its own fight against colorism in markets and bus stations due to continued incidents as reported in the media, charging that the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development has toned down on its aggressiveness compared to the past. Meanwhile, in a separate interview, United Party for National Development, UPND Deputy National Youth Chairperson Trevor Mwinde has described the former ruling party as bitter, stating that the current administration is still the people's choice, adding that they are on track in delivering to the Zambian people. More in this report.
Debate has risen in the political arena on whether the United Party for National Development, UPND, is still the people's choice over 1 year after ascending to office in an election won by over 1 million votes and seating the former ruling Patriotic Front, PF. Some have accused the ruling party of quickly losing popularity due to incidents such as political violence, resurfacing cadarism, and poverty, which they say has not reduced significantly, despite promises that the UPND would better the lives of Zambians. Among the critics is opposition Patriotic Front Deputy Media Director Edwin Lifwekelo, who says so far the UPND only deserves 2 out of 10, charging that they may become even more disappointing.
But if you asked me how much I can give them, I think I can give them 2 out of 10. And mind you, for now, they are not even strongholds for UPND. Everybody is complaining. We are back to square one, but we just have to live with our decision that we made by putting UPND in office. Hopefully, coming into 2026, there will be second thought, and people will have to decide. And the sooner we decide, the better. We know that in Livingstone, in Chipata, in Lusaka, in councils, a number of officers they are being ordered out from their offices by the fact that UPND cadres believe that they are not supposed to be the rightful owners of those offices. So this issue of cadarism is still there. If you walk through markets and bus stop, Honorable Gary Nkombo is still having a tough time to deal with the cadres who still believe they must own offices, cadres who still believe that they must be in markets and in bus stations are there.
Meanwhile, UPND National Deputy Youth Chairperson Trevor Mwinde says assertions that the UPND has lost popularity are illusional.
It's unfortunate that politicians now want to try and water down the progressive pronouncements that which have been made by the new Dawn administration. Us as youths, we have no intention whatsoever to try and turn ourselves into cadres of unproductive and progressive behavior characteristics, just as others in the Patriotic Front want to see every wind of frustrations. Us in UPND will continue supporting the new Dawn's pronouncements to have a fair, productive, and violent-free Zambia. It is unfortunate that people like Comrade Rifwekero want to weigh in their political miscalculations by chanting slogans or like saying that the new Dawn administration's performance is 2 out of 10.
For now, only the 2026 elections will tell whether Zambians have found their green pastures or whether they are still searching for the promised land. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Patriotic Front Chilubi Member of Parliament Mulenga Fube has charged that Zambia has nothing to celebrate this 24th October, alleging that the country's democracy is losing its meaning. In an interview, Mr. Fube has cited the recently held Kwacha and Kawushi constituency by-elections on the Copperbelt province, alleging that the absence of the main opposition Patriotic Front on the ballot is one sign that the democratic space in Zambia is shrinking. Following the nullification of the elections, which were in 2021 scooped by the Patriotic Front, both seats were petitioned by the UPND, with the courts further declaring the two PF members of parliament as not duly elected, citing anomalies. The PF has, however, been in the courts calling for fresh nominations, as the Electoral Commission of Zambia, ECZ, refused to accept the nominations of the two former lawmakers from the PF, stating that they were not eligible to stand as they had caused the by-elections, citing Article 74, Cap 2 of the Republican Constitution.
When we talk about liberties and many other factors that consolidate a democratic environment, we are performing so badly as a country. And the element that is making us to perform so badly as a country is the executive. For instance, I don't understand the mind of the president currently, where he had to go into a sham election, which he knew was surrounded by different legal battles and legal questions, which to us, we do not accept that, because that judgment has overlooked a lot of factors and it has been sneaked through a window, and a toxic window for that matter. Then we are shooting in the dark, because even the independence won't have its meaning. Our forefathers fought so that we can have the leverage to exercise liberties as it may be.
The Basic Education Teachers Union of Zambia, BETUZ, says its expectations are that all schools in the country should be electrified by 2030, regardless of whether they are located in urban or rural areas. Reacting to the electrification of some schools that has begun in Kapete Ward, located in a rural part of Chongwe district, BETU's Public and International Relations Director Kabika Kakunta notes that the electrification of rural schools not only benefits learners, but also ensures retention of teachers. Learners in rural schools have remained disadvantaged in comparison to their urban counterparts, as these have often depended on theory, even in practical subjects such as information communication technologies, ICTs, due to not being electrified. More in this report.
While it is commonly agreed that education is the best equalizer and can bridge social and economic inequalities once someone is well educated, stakeholders in the education sector have been posing questions on whether learners in rural and urban areas of Zambia have been receiving the same quality of education. Rural schools continue to face problems like low teacher-pupil ratios due to continued teacher migration to urban schools, lack of practical learning due to the lack of computer labs in some schools, and a major problem of not being electrified, meaning that pupils learning information communication technologies ICTs can only depend on theory, as devices used in learning ICTs like computers, depend on electricity to operate. Kapete Ward Councillor Francis Kavichi, in an interview with Camnet News, however, notes that the work of electrification has begun for 4 schools in his ward, which is located in a rural part of Chonga district in Lusaka province, through the Rural Electrification Authority REA. Reacting to the development, Basic Educators Teachers Union of Zambia, Betu's Public and International Relations Director Kabika Kakunta, says if rural schools are electrified, even teachers will be motivated to stay and avoid the trend of abandoning rural schools.
It will retain our teacher members in those schools because they know they will have access to power. And secondly, it will also enhance the provision of quality teaching and learning because our learners will be able to get into the school even in the evening and be able to do their prep and so on, and also will be able to support other modes of teaching because we will have power in the school.
He adds that this will also help the country to arrive at its goal of achieving universal quality education for all by 2030.
So we are confident and we are hopeful moving to 2030, hoping that by then all our schools will be a marvel, will be able to see the change that we want to see. Because the more they put in the education sector, the more we are going to see well-educated Zambians who will meaningfully contribute to the development of this country. And we think that as a country, with what is happening now, we are in the right track in pushing the agenda of education and the education that will push the agenda of sustainable development of this country.
All stakeholders in the education sector are optimistic that with the electrification of schools, the quality of education will improve significantly. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News.
You're watching Camnet Television News. We'll take our first break. We'll be back with more news after the break.
From time immemorial, we have had different types of lighting options, from those that can burn down our investments in minutes to those that dig holes in our pockets due to constant replacement and huge consumption of our ZESCO units. Savenda Electric introduces the new and advanced electric bulb with cutting-edge technology of LED that has low power consumption, gives out bright white light, and lasts up to 25,000 hours. Savenda Electric manufactures all types of LED light like plastic LED fluorescent tubes, down lights, ceiling lights, outdoor fittings, and solar street lights made to customer specifications. Let's live on the bright side of life by choosing the wide range of Savenda electric lighting solutions that are available in all leading stores and supermarkets countrywide. For orders, call 0962-642-490 or email jnbunda@savenda.com or pchabula@savenda.com.
Your skin is the biggest muscle in your body. That's why we make sure that Oracle is #1 when it comes to taking care of your precious skin. Oracle Pure Petroleum Jelly and Glycerin soothes, moisturizes and keeps your skin perfect. Oracle Pure Petroleum products for that perfect skin.
This Independence, take advantage of our special offers. We're having our flat drip tips at 2,800 kwacha, or you can get it per meter at 1 kwacha 15 gwei. Get our 500-meter round hose with a 1.1 millimeter thickness at 1,200 kwacha. Rainglow, bringing you durable products that will last you many seasons.
Welcome back. We now continue with the news. An entrepreneur, Dumisani Nkube, has urged young people in Zambia to start monetizing the skills in their field of study, adding that job creation by government is a far-fetched dream. Mr. Nkube says economies that have managed to flourish have embraced the skills of entrepreneurship in their people, including the young ones. Mr. Nkube says financial capital is not the most important capital that one needs to start a business, but intellectual capital. More in this report.
The high levels of unemployment in Zambia leaves much to be desired, and what is more worrying is that most unemployed people are looking to the government for employment opportunities. This is evidenced by the number of unemployed youths who turned up in huge numbers to undertake aptitude tests for the 2022 census of housing and population part-time enumeration and supervisory jobs. The advertisement of the recruitment of Zambia correctional warders and wardresses has also seen a number of young people flocking the Zambia Statistical Agency to drop their application letters with the hope of being among the lucky. Meanwhile, the local government commission Friday 21st October 2022 announced that it had received 33,639 applications against 927 positions which were advertised. However, a radical entrepreneur Dumisani Nchobe says economies that have managed to flourish have embraced the skill of entrepreneurship in their people, including the young ones.
We have repeatedly been reminded of this from a very young age. Go to school. Once you're done with your secondary education, once you're done with your tertiary education, you have a job. So our mindset is set towards searching for a job. So as a result, we find ourselves in a space where we feel entitled to having a job. We get to have that entitlement, and it just doesn't come. It comes simply because we have been taught this time and again. So if you looked at those economies that have managed to flourish, those have embraced the need for entrepreneurship in their citizens and in the young ones.
Mr. Nchobe adds that there are no jobs available for everyone in the country, but that people should start monetizing their skills in their field of study, which he says is much secure than being employed where one can easily lose their job.
There are no jobs available. So let us position ourselves that way, that there are no jobs available for everyone. So the best you can do, if you have studied a course in this, see how you can monetize your skills in that particular field, see how you can position yourself with the skills that you have, with the talents that you have. That will position you better for success in this life. So let us not just look at jobs. It takes an average of 6 years to get a job in your field of study in Africa. So it is in your best interest to then begin positioning yourself towards entrepreneurship.
The advertisement for the recruitment of 30,000 plus teachers and 11,000 plus health workers also witnessed massive application of more than 200,000 applicants, a sign that the country needs to do more to create an enabling environment for young people to take up entrepreneurship. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
The Zambia Medical Association, ZMA, says the late Dr. Edgar Muyunda Wamui was the mind behind the establishment of the mortality registry in Zambia in 2011. Dr. Wamui was a retired medical practitioner who once worked for the World Health Organization and in Namibia. ZMA President Dr. Crispin Moyo says Dr. Wamui will be greatly remembered, among other things, as a trailblazer in establishing the mortality registry, which recorded on a daily basis the number of deaths recorded from each medical center countrywide. And Dr. Canisius Banda has described him as a friend whose memory will live on despite answering the Lord's call. Meanwhile, United Party for National Development, UPND National Deputy Youth Chairperson Trevor Mwinde says persons living with disabilities should learn things from the late Dr. Wamui, who, despite his disability, contributed positively to the development of the country, including mobilizing the UPND youths. The late Dr. Edgar Wamui is survived by a wife and children.
These are things that are done quietly, but you don't even get to know whether they make an impact. He started what we call a registry on mortality, or people who die in Zambia on daily basis. Before he started that registry, the country didn't have numbers on the people who die every day in Zambia, both dying in hospitals and out of hospital. He developed a very simple registry, and he developed a system for getting that information to his office, to his desk. And using that information, we're now able to have sight of what is happening everywhere in the country. A simple system, very effective, and is still being used even today.
Less of our religion, race,
race, physical appearance, regardless of what differences, we can love one another, we can live together, we can support one another. There was something about us, and I just don't know what it was.
They will greatly miss him. I do recall in 2015 when I was in Chimbwakaira prison, separately with Dr. Kenishas Banda, they visited me, and his visit of mine, it's him who recommended that I should see him because he was in the ICU. Remember that in my chains, in my hands and on my legs, I was able to walk into the ICU with a gun behind me, guarding me, to go and visit him. And I know, and I'm believing today that he is not only amongst the few Zambians that could be disabled and contributing to the growth of this country. I want to also commend the living souls like Dr. Kafua Bulula of FRA. Through him, we also encourage many other parents and families that have children that are disabled to bring them out in the open, to make sure that they also contribute positively to the development of this country.
The Ministry of Agriculture is closely monitoring the delivery of fertilizer to all provinces in the country to avoid delay in the implementation of the Farmer Import Support Program, FISP. Ministry of Agriculture Director Human Resource Administration Lubasi Sakwiba says his ministry with other government institutions has put up watertight measures that would assist in ensuring that the correct beneficiaries get the correct number of inputs they are supposed to get under the Farmer Import Support Program, FISP. The Ministry of Agriculture with other government institutions has put up tight measures that would assist in ensuring that the correct beneficiaries get the correct number of inputs they are supposed to get under the Farmer Import Support Program. He was responding to concerns raised by Choma District Commissioner Sikalea Gamela and Choma Mayor Javen Simoloka that the FISP program has delayed as the rain season is imminent. Nais has more.
The Ministry of Agriculture with other government institutions has put up watertight measures that would assist in ensuring that the correct beneficiaries get correct number of inputs they are supposed to get under the Farmer Import Support Program, FISP. Ministry of Agriculture, Human Resource and Administration Director Lubasi Sakwiba said the among measures put in place to prevent ghost farmers accessing imports is that a prospective beneficiary should be identified uniquely biometrically. Mr. Sakwiba said this has been achieved by the Ministry of Agriculture through collaboration with Smart Zambia, in which biometrics of all farmers have been accessed. He said his ministry is not just delaying the process, but it is critical to ensure that the imports do not reach ghost farmers.
The ministry, sitting with the other government institutions, decided to come up with watertight measures that would assist in ensuring that the correct beneficiaries get the correct number of inputs they're supposed to get.
Mr. Sakwiba was responding to concerns raised by Choma District Commissioner Sikalea Gamela and Choma Mayor Javen Simoloka that the FISP program has delayed as the rain season is imminent.
We have concerns now. We are towards the end of October, and November will be the onset of rains. I think the process of FISP is delayed, because if we were talking about biometric, now to date we don't know how many people have undergone through that. That process may take us a bit of long time.
Your ministry will soon give a clear direction. Just now we are having, in my opinion, honest opinion, we are having mixed communication. Every day there's always something new coming up.
Mr. Sakwiba expressed optimism that before onset of the rain season, the imports will reach all provinces.
We've taken note, and I think we are having weekly meetings at the ministry, and we have a committee that's monitoring the progress.
Reporting, Lawrence Kavutu in Choma.
Green Economy and Environment Minister Collins Nzovu says government is encouraging the use of partnerships to address issues of climate change. Speaking when he visited Chief Malama of the Kunda people in Mambwe district of Eastern Province with a delegation from the Biocarbon Partners BCP, Engineer Nzovu says government wants to get lessons from Chief Malama's chiefdom and teach other parts of the country. The minister was impressed that the traditional leader recognizes that climate change is real, hence taking positive steps to mitigate the devastating effects of climate change. Engineer Nzovu says after learning the benefits from Chief Malama, government will know how it can help other chiefdoms in replicating the same methods for positive collective results. He also took time to encourage the traditional leader that some of the funds from the Constituency Development Funds CDF should go towards projects that will develop community participation in mitigation, adaptation, and building resilience on matters of climate change. And His Royal Highness Chief Malama was grateful that government has introduced the free education policy, but was quick to mention that urgent intervention is needed in putting up better infrastructure in the area, among them a good road network. Chief Malama also appealed to government to quickly come up with measures to address human-animal conflict in his chiefdom. We'll take a second and final break. We'll be back with international and sports news after the break.
In our quest to save nations and develop Africa, Savenda is investing in the agriculture sector so as to produce supply for both local and international markets, housing over 12,000 pullets that are nurtured and fed with our locally made stock feed that comes from our own locally grown maize and soya beans, all processed from our recently installed milling and mixing plant. Our over 95,000 layers have an output capacity of over 1,500 trays of fresh eggs per day that are carefully selected and packaged for all the leading stores and supermarkets nationwide. Our greenhouses are fitted with the latest irrigation system, and the seedlings are nurtured to ensure only healthy plants reach the fields. With our deliberate planting schedule, we are better placed to supply constantly without interruption, thus reliable. Savenda Farms is also changing lives of its dedicated workforce drawn from the local community and beyond. So the next time you think fresh and green, think Savenda Farms.
For immediate coverage of any breaking or latest news in Zambia and around the world on Camnet television, call the numbers on your screen. Camnet television, bringing to your screens fair news, impartial news, credible and reliable news all the time. Get the whole truth on Camnet World News. Camnet Television, not just another channel.
Welcome back. Thank you for still staying with us. We continue with the news. In international news, Guinea's ruling junta has agreed to hand over power to civilians after 2 years, giving up under threat of imminent sanctions to run the country for 3 years, says a document from the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS. In a dynamic compromise, the experts of ECOWAS and Guinea have jointly developed a consolidated chronogram calendar of the transition spread over 24 months, said the document transmitted Friday to AFP correspondent and published on social networks by the junta. The document does not specify when this 24-month period begins. In other news, Chad's military ruler Mahamat Idris Deby on Friday visited a hospital and a protest-hit district of N'Djamena, his office said, after a day of unprecedented violence that left around 50 people dead in the capital and elsewhere. For more in international news, here's a roundup.
Guinea's junta has agreed to leave power after 2 years, regional bloc ECOWAS said Friday. The development means Guinea's army rulers are walking back their pledge to only hand over power to civilians after 3 years under intense regional pressure. In a statement Friday, ECOWAS said it had agreed a 24-month transition calendar with Conakry. The document does not specify when this 24-month period begins. Guinea's membership in ECOWAS remains suspended after a coup ousted Alpha Conde's government last September. The head of the junta, Colonel Mamadi Doumbouya, had previously said he needed more time to carry out reforms necessary to make the country a democracy. But activists have accused him of seeking to rule indefinitely. In a meeting held on the sidelines of the UN General Assembly in September, ECOWAS demanded that Guinea's rulers present a transition schedule in a month or suffer new sanctions. For more than 2 years, ECOWAS has seen a string of army takeovers in Burkina Faso, Guinea and Mali. Chad's army ruler on Friday visited a hospital and a protest-hit district of the capital after a day of unprecedented violence that left around 50 people dead. Accompanied by his aides and hospital officials, Muhammad Idris Deby walked through the ward and held brief conversations with patients being treated for various injuries. Tensions eased on Friday after the ruling junta announced an overnight curfew on Thursday, following fatal clashes earlier in the day between police and demonstrators. Most of the violence took place in Jamena's 7th district. The violence came on the heels of a national forum organized by Deby that extended his military government's grip on power beyond Thursday's deadline. In power since April 2021, Deby's junta had originally declared it would restore civilian rule after 18 months. But as the deadline neared, the nationwide forum staged by Deby reset the clock. On October 1st, it approved a new 24-month time frame for holding elections. Malawi on Thursday unearthed 4 more bodies following the grim discovery of a grave containing the remains of 25 men suspected to be Ethiopian migrants, police said. The latest finds were made at 4 separate locations, bringing the toll so far to 29.
This is a kind of unprecedented event that we have never seen before. So it's something that has shocked everybody in Mzimba district.
The dead are suspected to be migrants heading for South Africa, the continent's most industrialized economy. The UN has said that the tragedy highlighted the need to tackle irregular migration urgently.
4 new bodies have been discovered within the vicinity of the mass grave, which is an indication that perhaps there are more of such graves in the forest. And perhaps now as authorities we have to move in and to find out more. So earlier is something that we believe is something very serious happening in the forest.
Villagers in the northern area of Muzimba, north of the capital Lilongwe, stumbled on the mass grave while collecting honey in a forest earlier this week. Police said evidence gathered from the site on Wednesday indicated the 25 victims were Ethiopian males aged between 25 and 40.
Let's have some sports news now. And in sports news tonight, Zambia has been drawn in Group C of the 2023 FIFA Women's World Cup with giants Spain, Costa Rica and Japan. The Copper Queens will open their bid against Japan, while their second match will be against Spain before facing Costa Rica. The Super Falcons, the Nigeria's women national team, has been drawn in Group B together with Australia, Canada and Ireland, while New Zealand, Norway, Switzerland and Philippines have been drawn in Group A. The defending champions England have been drawn in Group D together with China and Denmark, while the Group B playoff winner will face one of the 3 women national teams in Group D. The United States of America national women's team has been drawn in Group E with Netherlands and Vietnam, while the Group A playoff winners will face one of the 3 women's teams. Germany, Korea Republic and Colombia have been drawn in F, while Sweden, Italy and Argentina have been drawn in Group G, and France, Brazil and Jamaica are in Group H. And still in sports news, Camnet Stars has drawn by 1-0 in a match played this afternoon against Steel Kings. The match played under Division 4 Developmental Week fixture at Thorn Park Primary School grounds saw Camnet Stars leading in the first half, going on halftime at that score. Steel Kings came from behind and equalized in the second half, leading the game, ending in a 1-1 draw.
I think to work on striking force. I think we played very well. I think our strikers are not working better. We have to improve. The instruction was to push until we score. We have done it. We failed to win the game, but we equalized. So thanks very much to the boys. They've tried their best. The game is always about three things in a game. There is a lose, draw, or a win. What has come is a draw for today. I think it's enough for us.
The game so far so good. Chamshe manini but opponent watishira chempamfu. Kocha fight and bora kutin draw. Fighting spirit, I mean. Let's fight. Then we managed to score.
Draw for us is bad. It's bad. We are not playing our game. This is a waste game. I don't think maybe players' coordination was bad. We are going back to our pitch and start thinking any other thing to do well.
As you can see, we have tried our best, but unfortunately we allowed the goal, and the opponent they came up with a good pressure, and they couldn't control our pressure. Otherwise, it was so bad. We'll just wake up on our mistakes so that we may see how we can handle next game.
That football note ends tonight's main news. But before we go, the headlines once again. UPND losing touch with reality, charges the opposition Patriotic Front. Some KCM retirees camp at the Lusaka Court of Appeal demanding their insurance contributions. Former CARITAS Zambia Executive Director challenges Zambians to take interest in the management of public resources. In international news, Guinea junta agrees to leave power after 2 years, says ECOWAS. And in sports news, Copper Queens drawn in Group C of the 2023 FIFA Women's World Cup. When I look at the Camnet verse of the day, which is coming from Galatians 6 verse 2, carry each other's burdens, and in this way you will fulfill the law of Christ. Thank you once again for watching the news. I'm Jeffrey Ziambo. Good night.